10, 9.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Get ready for two guys who can't handle the truth.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
But we can. Dave Palumbo, Chris Aceto. RxMuscle.com presents Heavy Muscle Radio. Watch out!
Welcome to another episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined, as always, by the technician Chris Aceto on this August 27th, 2018 afternoon. And Chris, getting closer to the Olympia by the day. As you know, we've been doing our Iron Road to the Olympia 2018 on RxMuscle for the last 2 weeks now, and we've been trying to interview all the top names who will be competing at the Mr. Olympia and all the Olympia competitions for that matter. And we've had a star-studded list and some great interviews that have popped up so far. Have you watched any of them?
I haven't seen any of them yet. I tried to watch today.
Zane Watson was really good.
Oh, I did. Wait a minute. I saw blips and pieces of the Zane one. I saw blips and pieces of the Zane Watson interview.
I was going to interview Zane and Regan at the same time because Regan was in the office with Zane in his gym office there. But Regan said, I want my own Iron Road to the Olympia interview.
Honestly, Dave, right before we started the show, here's Zane texting me. He's texting me about how, he's very smart and very analytical, and he's got different ways and different ideas about making the weight because he's significant. Well, he's somewhat significant over the official weight. So, he's just thinking, should I just sit in the sauna the night before? Should I use a diuretic? Should I not drink? And, he has 5 different scenarios. List them all out for me. And I said, I don't know any. I'm not sure yet. And then I said, I got to go. Dave's calling for RxMuscle Radio. I tell Dave I said hello. So I forgot about it.
That's funny. Yeah, I actually am sending him some of my Fiberlize because he was having some problems, pooping. And I said, you got to get on Fiberlize. I can't believe you don't use it. So he's like, oh, yeah. How do I said, I'll send you some. You try it. It's like, I'm like a drug dealer. You send one tub and then people are hooked for life on the stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, Reagan was there because Reagan goes down and loves that atmosphere. I guess.
What is he? Zane has his own hardcore gym there, right?
He has a hardcore gym, and his father, which Reagan just loves. He said his father puts him through every workout essentially, and his father has a little notebook and a pencil, and he writes down every rep, every set. Loves it for him because, of course, his father was a very successful bodybuilder.
It's like Boston Lloyd and his dad. What happened to Boston though? Oh my God!
Well, Boston will forever be an A+. He should come out to the Olympia and commentate on
Yeah. Everyone gets pissed off at him. You know who's pissed off at him? Nathan Diaz is pissed off at him.
Oh, really? Why?
Yeah, he's trying to boycott our interview with him because, I don't know. He thinks that Boston put down his. What Boston said was on one of his posts, he was saying how these guys who go to Kuwait are basically wasting their time out there, and they're leaving their families and their kids, and how could they do that? It's not necessary. So I guess Nathan took offense to it, and I don't know. He felt that Boston was putting down his kids or whatever, and he felt that was off limits. I don't think Boston talked about his kids, but there might have been a follow-up post that was taken down that I don't know about, so I'll give Nathan the benefit of the doubt. But, Boston's just very outspoken. I don't think there was any maliciousness meant towards Nathan, but,
Well, the flip side of that, and the flip side, and, I don't want to defend anything in Kuwait, but the flip side, of course, is, there's nothing better than mental clarity and isolating yourself and just doing what you like to do. I mean, I bury myself in my office. I lock the door.
Right.
Tell people, meaning my kids, you knock on this door and I will kill you. It's an exaggeration, but, you isolate yourself in an environment that's productive to getting something that you like done.
Sure.
And, there's nothing better. I mean, you've said it over and over. Going to Kuwait, is a great way to cut yourself off from, the mundaneness of your life or the busyness of your life and be able to focus 1,000% on just lifting and eating. There's nothing wrong with that if your goal is to be number one.
It's good for people who can't do that on their own. I've talked about this with Jose. Jose, it's not going to help Jose. It's not going to help guys such as Nino. It's not going to help guys that are so crazy, focused that they're already doing everything they possibly can do. But it's good for people who have kids because believe me, I have kids. You have kids now. We know it's a big distraction when you have kids. There's a lot going on. My son, if he decides not to go to sleep like he did last night and he wanted to run around all night, what am I going to do? I got to train the next day. What am I going to do? Leave the house? I mean, you can't. But if you're in Kuwait, obviously, Logan running around all night is not going to really be a big deal. Not to me. My wife might want to kill me, because she'll be the only one there. But it's helping the guys with kids and people who have a lot of distractions in their life.
Well, Boston is good at inserting himself into storylines like Nathan's and stirring up, talk or controversy and keeping himself relevant. Not that he's not very, very funny, because I think he's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, the post that he wrote was very funny, actually.
Send it to me. I mean, he's very funny and very relevant. That's why I said he should be commentating at the Olympia, because, there's a level of seriousness combined with a level of absurdity at the same time. I mean, he might say this guy's off, but he may go over the edge, and which is the actual funny part, and be real sarcastic and say he's as off as XYZ.
You want me to read you the post? It's kind of very controversial, but I'll read it to you anyway. It's pretty funny. I gotta keep the phone away from the microphone because it picks up static. And then it's annoying. All right, it's sickening to think that these bodybuilders are moving to different... This is Boston Lloyd, by the way, saying this. It's sickening to think that these bodybuilders are moving to different countries, leaving their families and loved ones because they think it's going to be better. It's going to better their bodybuilding career. If you think you need to place yourself far away from your family to be your best, you already have the wrong mindset to begin with. Coleman, Cutler, Heath, and many other champions all train out of their comfort, convenience of a gym close to their house family. I've been getting the best workouts out lately at my local neighborhood YMCA because my mind is in the right state of mind. It's all mental. If you need to move out to buttfuck Egypt because you think the drugs are better and they feed you with a silver spoon and gourmet meals every 2 hours, you already failed. Or if you think you need to join, I don't know what this is, at Camp Casper over in the middle of fucking Tennessee. I think that was a shot at Matt Jensen. So he can bride you with Pharma HGH, film every set of him yelling at you, acting hardcore while he posts your videos, or on his paid gay for pay muscle worship membership site while he ignores his everyday clients who support him financially while he licks his pros' dicks. We all know broke-ass pros don't pay shit. The champions can get the job done anywhere. It's all mental. Wake the fuck up. All right, so that was a shot at Kuwait. He took a shot at Matt Jensen there, and so I'm sure Boston likes to piss people off. I think, like you said, because I think he wants them to respond so that he creates controversy and makes himself relevant. But that was the shot. It didn't really address Nathan. It didn't really say. I don't see how Nathan took that personally, but maybe.
Well, it's funny, and it's true. I don't think there's anything.
But what it is? It is what it is. If you can go to some place, like you said, if going to Kuwait or going to Tennessee, Matt Jensen's, and training there is going to make you better, and you feel that it makes you better, and you look better at the show, then did it help? Yeah, it probably did. Maybe some people can't motivate themselves. There are guys that train with no training partners, and there's guys that have to have a training partner all the time, or they can't be their best.
I would agree with both. I would agree 100% with. The maturity of the post, actually, of that. That's a post coming from somebody. That post is true, and at the same time, you're right in terms of, sequestering yourself in a different place, far, far away, definitely can work for people, and it may not work for other people.
I mean, really, when you think about it, like he said in the post, I mean. Coleman, Cutler, they were all their best because they were in their home environment and comfortable.
That was the best part.
Right?
I mean, that was the most accurate part.
Haney,
Yates. I know people who are very successful in bodybuilding who would not leave, a 20 square block, really. They'd go to the gym, they'd go to this place, they'd go to that place, the grocery store, and home. They'd go to the gym. Go to the grocery store, go to the tanning place, and home. I mean, their lifestyle, their income could afford them that, and they're
Right.
making good money as professionals. But they would tell me, God, I'd hate to have this, this cycle or this environment interrupted because it's like perfect for me.
Right. And I can relate to it. I was the same way when I was competing.
Creature habit. Yeah, you said a few weeks ago on the radio show, you gave me your schedule. You'd stay up all night long.
Yeah.
Go to
I had my
McDonald's,
little routine that I never broke from, ever. And it worked for me. It just I did the same loop with my car every single day. I went from this store to this store to this store, this gym to this, to that, and back to my house. And it's the routine. Isn't that really what makes a great bodybuilder? Just a boring, consistent routine every single day.
Yeah.
And it used to piss me off when the holidays would come because, it's break. Christmas, Thanksgiving, I got to eat different.
Thanksgiving, the gyms are closed.
Right.
Well,
Thank God Bev's was always open. But
you'd probably freak out with the snowstorm.
Oh, that was the worst. If it would snow and God forbid you couldn't get to the gym. I mean, and it was a training day.
What you do? Call up Bev's and find out if they're open?
Well, he never closed. He never closed. It was a matter of could you get to the gym. He was there, believe me. I don't know how he always got. There was always someone open in that gym, but it's could you get out of your driveway and get to the gym. The lucky thing is usually by the end of the day everything is plowed. So. But it was the stress of it. It was the stress of saying, I can't go today. I was supposed to train legs, and
I'd probably throw you off. What am I supposed to do now with my meals? Do I eat less? Do I?
Right, exactly. And then I got to shovel. Shoveling throws a monkey wrench in everything too, because now you got to exert yourself. You're burning extra calories. You might strain yourself. So it's like we're like babies when we're bodybuilders, right? We don't want to do anything.
Well, it's true. I mean, you know what? You just had two babies. They eat, sleep, and grow.
Yep.
I mean, the formula's been laid down for the sport from day one. The minute you come out of the womb, you eat, you sleep, and you grow exponentially those first few years.
And if you can duplicate that as a bodybuilder, if you have the luxury of having a lifestyle where you don't have to actually work like a real job, and you can do that, of course you're gonna grow better. There's no doubt about it. I have clients that are top level bodybuilders, but they work. They're postmen. They gotta walk like 20 miles a day. They work construction. I remember what's his name? What was that? Kirk DeFrancesco. You remember him?
Yes.
Great bodybuilder from Pittsburgh. He was a stonemason. Probably still a stonemason to this day. He used to work like manual labor every single day in the freaking heat, the freezing cold, and he was still a good bodybuilder. But he had to really structure his schedule, because of that. Yeah. I'm not. I don't think I could have handled that. I don't think I could have done it. I couldn't have pulled that off, But I became a real, creature of habit. Just I couldn't do anything. I didn't want to do anything extra except from bodybuild. Luckily, I was making money, but and I was able to pull it off. But it was, it's tough. It's tough to be a bodybuilder, But yes, but like I said, if you have so many distractions that you can't create that structure in your home environment, then maybe you will be better in an environment like Bader provides over there in Kuwait, where you're just focusing on bodybuilding. That's it, man. Nothing else. You go there, you train, you eat, you sleep. So
yeah.
And these guys, it's funny, we break Bader's balls, but the bottom line is that a lot of these guys leave there and then they badmouth the whole environment. After they've sucked his nipples, so to speak, over there and dry.
I don't think they're like badmouth.
Not badmouth, but you know what I mean. They pretend like, well, it wasn't that a big deal. It wasn't that big a deal, but it really was.
Of course it is. You've been there. I mean, anyone who's been there, it's a big deal because it's a big investment for Bader. Period.
He's spending a lot of money on these guys. Exactly.
I mean, it is a big deal.
So, you know what? He deserves the bragging rights. If he's investing in these guys, don't you think? It's like our friend over there in Qatar.
Does he deserve what type of bragging rights?
No, that he says he's got the best guys coming out of the gym. Just like, if a country like, Qatar has like that, they're going to have the World Cup. They have a World Cup team that they recruited from around the world, right? I mean, they deserve it. They've been, putting these people up and educating them and paying them. And I mean, it's, if you invest in someone, you can't be mad at the person who invests in a, whether it be a bodybuilder or a sports team or anything. If they're smart enough to invest and there's a return on it, then they deserve the credit, for doing it, don't you think? Especially if they're paying, I think
I
so.
mean, they got bragging rights. They got bragging rights.
Obviously, if you took Phil Heath and got him over there for a year, you can't say, well, we made Mr. Olympia Mr. Olympia, because he was already Mr. Olympia. But if you're taking a guy who's like let's take Brandon Curry, for instance. Brandon was not really doing anything special. He went over there, he grew, he got in better shape, he won shows, he qualified for the Olympia. He really upped his game. I mean, quite a bit from
He's
there.
probably been the he might be the biggest success.
Ruley was a good success story there too, I really believe.
Well, I mean, Ruley was winning. I mean, Brandon had won shows.
Right, but not like spectacularly.
No, true. But Ruley had won shows in.
But he's a different creature. I think he might be a different species now. I don't think he's even the same human species he was when he got there. He's just enormous.
Well, we'll see how he does.
Yeah.
We're going to find out in 3 weeks.
Yeah, we will, absolutely.
We're going to see who's going to be bragging and who's not.
Yeah. So, what do you think? What do you think about all these Canadians that are coming out of the woodwork, qualifying for the Olympia? I think they got like 39 people from Canada who qualified. This is in all the divisions, across all the divisions for Canada for the Olympia this year. That's some kind of record.
Yeah, no, it's insane. I mean, there's always, it's insane. It's insane.
Why do you think all these great people coming out of Canada all of a sudden? We never had this many people.
I just checked with Boston. I texted him. He said, "Real farmer PH." I don't know, Dave. Actually, there's. I really don't know. It just, part of it might be like this. I think once someone is very successful, it kind of like makes other people go like, God, I remember him when, I'm almost as good as him. If he can do it, I can do it.
Right.
It's like one of those things. Or, I mean, it changes your mindset. I mean, you have like Zane in the show, Bumstead in the show, Reagan in the show. I'm leaving out tons of people if there's 39.
Yeah.
Durar in the 212s. So all those people who've competed against them in the last like 3 to 5 years, because they were amateurs 3 to 5 years ago, or even 2 to 5 years ago, or 6, maybe, a little bit longer, are saying like, if so-and-so can compete at that level, I think I can too.
True. One of the people that no one's really mentioned who's doing the Olympia, I think he's doing the Olympia, he's qualified, is Cedric McMillan. Have you talked to Cedric at all?
Not much, no.
Is he laying low, you think, on purpose? Or what's your prediction? If you know Cedric's personality, what do you think? Is this a good sign or a bad sign that we haven't heard anything from him?
I'm sure I'm willing to bet that he's going to look phenomenal.
You think so? Because we've never seen him phenomenal at the Olympia ever.
Well, there's always, true. So
he always tries something new, right? He's always trying something that he heard probably, some guy at the gym tell him or something like that.
I have a feeling that he'll be at his absolute best. And remember, I mean, to his credit, he prepped himself at the Arnold, and he beat Rowley at the Arnold. I mean, you're talking about Rowley being, the sensational from another plant. Well, he beat him.
Right.
And, things didn't go that well for Cedric in Toronto, but I guarantee he learned a ton of what not to do, at that show.
Right.
Cedric is, without a doubt, everyone knows, to some degree, everyone knows, he's ridiculously dangerous. And I will say this. I thought of this. It's funny how you say this, Dave. Just the other day, I was bored out of my mind here in Atlanta. When Cedric was second at the Arnold Decai, the week before, technically, he barely won, supposedly, Poland.
Right.
And in 7 days, I know people in 7 days said, what did Cedric do in that 7 days? Between the Polish show, the Levrone show, rather, in Poland, and the Arnold. He looked, 10 pounds bigger and 10 pounds harder.
Right.
Well, that's how his body can change in those days,
Right.
I mean, he has the capacity to show up. Very impressive.
Mm-hmm. I hope you're right. It would add another dimension to the show that no one's even predicting. I think everyone has kind of like written him off, so to speak.
Of course they have.
And maybe that's when he's the most dangerous, you know.
Well, I mean, they've written him off, and I think that's a huge mistake. I think there's some people worth writing off, and some not. And I mean, it's a mistake, and I think that he's going to impress a lot of people.
Given what we've seen of, Phil Heath looks pretty damn big. He's looked big this whole offseason, which means to me that he's trying to come into this Olympia and really put his stamp on it that, hey, I'm for real. And that's good. I like when people get pushed. And they Ronnie had to step up his game in 2003 after a lot of people thought in 2002 he got a gift, and he lost that GNC show after the Olympia to what's his name, Gunther Schlumpkamp, and people kind of writing him off in 2002, and then he came back in 03 and just like blew everyone's doors off. So I think Phil's going to come in at his best in your estimation, and we're going to be doing a lot of programming the next 2 weeks on our predictions and analyzing everyone. But do you think that Phil Heath can be beat at this show? And if so, who will be the person to beat him?
Anyone can be beat. That's a cliche, but it's true. I mean, Coleman was beaten and Jay was beaten, and so anyone can be beat. He's just hard to beat. And because he's beaten everyone who he's already beaten in that lineup multiple times, his level of probably angst going in the show is to beat his. I am 100% sure Phil Heath is only trying to beat last year's Phil Heath, because he knows if I can duplicate that or if I can beat that, I'll be fine.
Right.
If I try to beat someone else or think about someone else, that's not in the cards for him, not his game. So
if Phil's at his best, and we look at the lineup and we know who's in the lineup, right?
Extremely hard to beat.
Bonac to me looks amazing. I've seen pictures of him. We interviewed Neil Hill last week. That interview should go up this week. It was a great interview, by the way. I think you'll appreciate it, because a lot of people don't know where Neil Hill came from. They don't even know that he was a great bodybuilder in his own right. He was an IFBB pro. People don't know that. He had gotten hurt. He hurt his knee, and that's why he really never finished competing. So he was,
If you did an interview with him, that means AMI didn't do a catch and kill with him, because he used to be under contract.
Well, he
AMI.
is. They actually okayed the interview, which was very nice of them. So
they okayed the interview.
They did. They told him he can do it.
They don't even have a magazine. What do they?
I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why they would stop me from interviewing anyone at this point. It's only going to help promote the Olympia. Exactly.
I mean, you got Roger Stone, for God's sakes. They're going to do an interview with him. No insult to Neil, but it's kind of a step down.
From where? From
Roger Stone.
Everyone is. Roger Stone was people don't even know who Roger Stone is. He was a blockbuster interview. Wait till they get him on the stand over there in Congress. I got to thank Amina Lai for that one. I mean, that's a personal friend to his. He was a big name we got. But no, let's just look at all the people. We got Bonac. Okay, let's look at the people who could legitimately beat him. We got Bonac. We got Rami. Okay, we got Dexter, and we got Roden. Okay, maybe we should probably throw Rulli in there too. There's 5 guys that have potential to take Phil Heath out. If Phil's at his best, can any of those guys beat Phil?
I don't think so.
What about Rami at his best? We haven't seen Rami at his best. We've been saying that. I don't even know. If Rami's at his best, is that good enough to beat Phil Heath at his best? What do you think?
No.
That's a very powerful statement. You're
well, you got to read, because we don't know what. Only because, at this point, his best.
You might be right. I'm just asking your opinion. I don't know.
I'll clarify it.
Yeah. Because
at this point, Rami is only defined as best as bigger.
Right.
That's a fact.
But let's say that Rami somehow puts it together and comes in with the conditioning level that he needs to. Let's say he looks like he did it when he won that the Arnold Europe that year when you were helping him. He was wacky at that show. If he comes in like that, can he beat Phil if Phil's at his best? I don't know. I think that Rami's physique has really changed. I hate to say it. I love all the size he's got in the mass and the freaking ridiculous, proportion. but his waist is not as small as it was when he first started. He's still super wide. His taper is good because his shoulders are so wide. But is he better than Phil? That's the question. And this is, of course, we're doing a what if. The chances of everyone coming in shape is slim to none.
To defend Ramy, waist getting wider. He's the widest guy on stage, and
True.
You yourself, and I agree, and have also made the point that, Jay didn't have a small waist.
No.
But he had a big sweep to his thighs and giant shoulders, so he had technically, next to other people, a better V taper.
Mm-hmm.
So that plays in Remy's, favor. I just think that, I think that show is so competitive that the refinement factor subliminally jumps out at the judges more than a lot of other things. In other words, it becomes, even though it's a mass show, it's also a detail show, and
Phil's the reigning champ, which always helps.
Well, Phil's the reigning champ, but he's got a lot of detail, that from head to toe that other people don't have. Phil has to be, detailed, and he can't be flat. He can't be flat. The last time Phil was flat was 2015, and he was incredibly vulnerable in prejudging. Incredibly so.
Sure.
Like dangerously fighting for his life in prejudging. Of course, he's got the body where, 24 hours later, he looked like he was 10 pounds bigger.
Right. Well, as long as he doesn't try to, sometimes, if you try to play the conditioning game and you don't have a lot of width just genetically, and he doesn't. His width is from his roundness, that he has. He doesn't, bone structure-wise, have that much width. If you start to try to, get too hard, you can come in flat, and flat does not look good on a physique like him. Flat on Ramy probably is not that bad because he's so wide, but flat on Phil is not good for his physique.
Yeah.
He's better off coming in eating. Better off coming in too full, actually, is really what to me, the take-home message is. But we're talking about right now is the fact that really Phil's destiny, whether he's going to win 8 Olympias and tie the record, seems to be in his own hands at this point. I'm sure if we had Jay Cutler talking to us right now, he'd be like, Phil's going to win again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, because Jay would be talking from his own, from experience, meaning, there's something to be.
Well, Jay said he's going to win 10 Olympias. When I interviewed him, when I asked him 5 years ago, he said that probably.
Yeah.
Jay just didn't think anyone was going to beat Phil. That there was that's out there, which is a bold statement. Which is a bold statement. The problem is that the guys that have more completeness, if you look at a Bonac, he might look better than Phil, but he is shorter than him. So that hurts him. It's hard to knock off Mr. Olympia when you're not as big as the guy. And then, the guys that are bigger than him don't have the refinement of Phil. So it's
well, that's okay. So what you said there, that's the dig by people who don't know or people who don't like Phil against Phil. In other words, he can't dominate a show because he's, not the quote biggest guy in the lineup right now.
Right.
And he's not the biggest guy in the lineup, but
we're used to Mr. Olympias, most of them, with the Dexter side of being the biggest guy. Dorian, Haney in his heyday, or obviously Ronnie,
Jay Coleman,
right.
You got to look a little bit because there's some parts of. The last 2 years I haven't seen that. I haven't seen it since 15 when I. Let
me give you. Let's throw it another I'm sure he's gonna love this little comparison. Let's take Samir. Remember when Samir won the Olympia?
83. Yeah.
Right. Beautiful physique, symmetry, conditioning.
Should have won in 80. Samir, I know you listen. You should have won in 82 also.
If you take that Samir physique, and you would have put it into the Olympia lineup, let's take Phil out of the Olympia. How many years would a Samir have won the Olympia? Might have won it a lot of times in this era, with that physique.
Well, they would say his glutes aren't
Well, but let's assume that he would have gotten all that because the technology wasn't as good when he was competing. No one really had glutes back then. So let's assume that his conditioning got 5% better because of what he was doing, and he was 5 or 10% bigger in size as well because of the drugs available and the food technology and the supplements. I mean, Samir would have done great in this era had he competed with Dorian and or Cutler, he would have gotten killed, right? So
yeah, the contrast. Yeah,
Phil is kind of like if you had to compare him to Mr. Olympia, he's kind of like a Samir Mr. Olympia because he just had that beautiful structure, and then he just put a lot of size onto that structure. Now, when he first was winning, he was more of a Samir. Now he's like a pumped up version of Samir was.
Yeah. No,
so
you're right.
It's a different type of Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, it is a very good point.
Well,
that's why. That's why. Like I said, that's why he's not. Although he's dominant because he gets all first place votes. When you compare and judge, with the fine tooth and comb, he's quote dominant. I think people they overreact to him not being quote big enough and being, they don't. A lot of people don't respect him as like a dominant Mr. Olympia in the way they did
right. Who beat Samir in '84?
Haney.
Right. Who was bigger and had the same symmetry,
Yeah, Drake. He was in great condition that year too.
Great conditioning. So who's going to knock off Phil? It's going to have to be someone who's terrifically conditioned with more wow than Phil has, and there's really not that many guys in the lineup who have that this year. It's the same guys, like you said, that he's beaten. I mean, if Ramy somehow pulls off a miracle, and just brings something that we haven't seen, I don't know. I would love to see Ramy at his best, Phil at his best, and I would love to see who wins. It's just there's no telling until we see them on stage next to each other, until we're sitting in that press pit and analyzing it.
No, we are sitting in that press pit, so we will analyze it.
Yeah, no, I'm saying until we're actually there, we won't know. What about a Cedric McMillan coming out of the woodwork and looking like he did when he won the Arnold? Is that enough to beat Phil Heath?
It is enough to draw away a couple votes,
but probably not enough. Probably not enough oomph, and not enough leg, not enough.
Well, I mean, it's enough. What we haven't seen.
It's excitement, that's for sure.
Well, we haven't seen at a show. We haven't seen at an Olympia multiple people with different physiques at their best. I'm just saying Cedric at his best, in the same lineup as Roden at his best, in the same lineup with Ramy at his best, in the same lineup with, of course, Phil at his best, and Bonac at his best, and Rolly at his best, and Dexter at their best. Somebody's going to suck off some type of maybe first place votes. Can you name the last person who got first place votes in prejudging versus Phil?
Probably not. What is it? It was Roden? Roden got a couple, right?
Yeah, 2015.
Yeah. Well, Roden's the most dangerous to Phil because he's a Phil-like physique, except with a better waistline when he's controlling it and everything like that. So, I mean, when Phil's off, that's when Roden's most dangerous to him, I think, because he can exploit that shape, structure, beautiful physique type of thing. So, look, there's a lot of guys just waiting in the wings for Phil to come in, but I think that Phil controls his destiny at this Olympia. That's the point I really want to drive home here. There's not many guys that are going to knock him off unless Phil himself shows up and is off. So really, if he loses this Olympia, he can only blame himself at this point.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. You're right.
Aside from him coming in with a torn bicep like Jay did the year he lost to Dexter,
Yeah. No, Jay lost with the torn bicep to Phil.
Oh, to Phil. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. And the question is, if Jay didn't have the torn bicep, would he have lost that show? That's a
probably not.
I don't think so either. I think it would have taken another year probably.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe Jay would have kept going. I don't know.
Well, as Jay would say, no, Jay would have kept going, and Jay will frame that in the idea of him losing a 01 Olympia. If I had won a 01 Olympia, I could have, instead of Chase Coleman, he would have had to. Some people would have been chasing me. I could have been playing my game the whole time, and that would have been the standard.
Yeah, would have been a whole brave new world. That's for sure.
Yeah.
would have been completely different because Coleman would never have stopped. He would have come back, tried to take Jay out.
Oh God, yeah, of course.
And who knows? Maybe he would have. He would have.
Yeah.
We don't know. Yeah. He might have. Let's talk about the 212 for a minute, class. Because this is kind of exciting. This class, I think that there's a lot of unknown factors in it. Obviously, Flex Lewis coming back for his last.
Before you go, and I'm gonna send you pictures before you go and make your predictions.
Well, we're not making predictions. We're just kind of analyzing.
No,
them.
I just even I'm gonna crack your I know exactly what you're gonna say because I always do.
Okay. You're sending me a picture of who?
You'll see.
Okay.
You'll see. This 212 is going to be a 4.
Oh, I'm pulling up the picture. Yeah, Jose looks good.
Huh?
Jose looks great.
I mean, how thick is that?
Yeah. Probably the best he's looked in a while. I don't think he's going to be Flex Lewis though, but
well, I just you got 2 pictures, right?
Yes, but you're not helping that other person that you said.
No, but I just wanted to point out like the obvious, like excuse me, this said for 25 years of training. It's going to be hard to displace Jose in.
Well, I think Jose's a solid top 3, top 4 guy.
It's been 3 for what? 6 years, dude.
Yeah, there's no one's taking him out of that running. That's for sure. I don't think Flex Lewis could lose at this point. But, he has problems, too, making weight and sucking down. And when's the weigh-in this year? It's, 2 days before or 1 day?
No, Thursday
24
morning.
hours before, right? Yeah.
Thursday morning, prejudgings, and then the show's Friday night.
Right. So that doesn't give the guys that need to fill up very much time. Zane pointed out, I think he had, 3 hours to carb up for the last show?
Yeah, New York, yeah. I just knew
3
that.
hours.
I knew that. That the only reason I know that the weigh-in is at Thursday morning and the prejudging is at Friday night because Zane just texted me this morning and he was pissed because originally it was going to be like
Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday, which, Zane is really, he's at his best at 228. He says, you love that 228, Chris. And I said, I know. The problem is the I like 228 a heck of a lot more than 212. Right. And his point is, well, if I can have 2 days, I can be 228. Mm-hmm. But I know that. Some people can carb up 10 pounds, and other people can carb up 5 pounds and look 25% worse because they just spill like crazy.
Well, let's talk about someone that no one's talked about, which is our last year's Arnold Classic champ, the runner-up from the Olympia last year, Ahmed Ashkenani. We haven't heard a word from this guy. Not a peep all year long from this guy. Nothing. No update photos, really. Occasionally here or there a funny picture would trickle out, but nothing. He didn't compete all year. Obviously didn't have to. He's already qualified for the Olympia. And we don't know anything about him. Do you think, if you had to make a prediction, and you and I haven't seen anything, so this is pure speculation, is that a good sign or a bad sign?
It is a different sign, and a different sign is probably not a good sign.
Yeah, I would think that they like to put out pictures at Oxygen Gym there.
Yeah.
And the fact that he didn't have any pictures, maybe something happened. Who knows? Maybe he got injured or something like that. I don't know.
He had a nose injury. Remember he had the broken nose?
He break his nose. Did someone punch him?
I think someone punched him in the gym or something. Or weight fell on him or something like the weight.
Oh, did it really? I don't know. He's got a big nose. Maybe he was just getting a nose job.
No, that would have been that. Then he would have been taken easy road. That's like the singer who said she fell. Remember?
Yeah.
Who's Carrie Underwood said she fell. He had 400 stitches, new nose, and new chin.
If I had a big nose and I don't have a great nose, believe me. If I would have busted my nose, I would definitely tell him to give me a nose job, wouldn't you? I mean, you have a good nose, but I definitely would. There's no doubt in my mind. I almost went for a nose job at one point. I don't know why. It just didn't like my nose at one point. I think I was just insecure at myself, and I was gonna get Dr. Blau. He was gonna, I'll fix your nose a little bit. I'm like, all right, and then at the last minute, I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with me? What am I thinking?
Hey, you don't need a new nose.
No.
You might. Blackman would say you need a new kidney or something.
Yeah. My dad's like, your nose gives you character. You're gonna ruin your face. I said, and when he told me that, I listened to him. Actually, I said, you know what? My father's the artist. I can't. God, if I don't listen to him and I screw it up, he'll be like telling me for the rest of my life that I screwed up my nose. My dad has this like thing about noses, so I just said, fuck it, I'm not doing it.
He's right, actually.
Yeah, he is right. Because you know what? He doesn't like. My dad hates people that all look the same, like these, like these movie stars that like are too pretty looking. He likes the character ones that have like a little bit of a, and it's always the nose. He either hates the person because of their nose, or he loves the person because of their nose.
Who's his favorite? Who's his favorite character? Who's his?
I'm trying to think of like
trying to think of the guy with
someone
the
that like I'm trying to think of something like that my dad likes because of his nose. He
the guy
hates.
who played the detective with the big nose. It's like the Maltese nose. You can Google it.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Well, I think that's why he liked all the all these these character actors back in the day too. You know. He loves De Niro because he's got the big fucking character nose. Harvey Keitel, the big character nose. You know. He doesn't like these. He hates. You know who he hates? My dad hated Kevin Bacon. I said, Dad, he's a good actor. Hated him.
What?
I don't know.
He's a very good actor.
He doesn't like him. Said
he
something about his face rubs me the wrong way. He won't watch any movie. He never would watch any movies with him in it.
He lost all his money through the Madoff.
Oh, he did? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Kevin Bacon. Yes.
Wow, he invested with Madoff, huh?
Yeah.
Not good.
So Ashkenani, I don't know.
So what's going? So what? How we got into talking about nose jobs? I'm trying to figure out if Ashkenani looks good. I know that we saw a picture recently because I did a muscle in the morning on him. He looks pretty big, but I don't know. Who knows? His weakness is his legs.
Yeah. Well, his. It's funny. He's been in 2 Olympias, landed in second, and I wouldn't say those were defining seconds. You know what I mean? Like, people still walk away with.
I didn't think he looked that good last year, to be honest with you. I thought his waistline was weird, and the year before I thought he looked good, but he just didn't look good last year. I don't know, what was going on with him or what, but it'll be, it's what's really a shame is that we don't have Hadi Shupin in this lineup from Iran because he can't get a visa over here. So that, that's your number one contender. That's the guy who could have pushed, Flex Lewis to the wire.
Oh, all his online fans are going to make it toxic no matter who wins.
Of course. But you know what? The truth is, I'll predict this right now. Flex Lewis will be doing the Open. I guarantee that because Neil Hill can confirm that. And I have a feeling that at some point we're going to see Hadi Shupin do Open competitions. So they might face each other.
He's already done Open.
He did. Yeah, no, he did. Well, so did Flex at some point. But I'm saying, I think exclusively we're going to see these guys switch over. But maybe not. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in Hadi Shupin's mind at this point. Because he's obviously limited. He could do it. Well, he can pretty much compete everywhere but the United States, which unfortunately is where the Mr. Olympia is. But we'll see him in these post-Olympia shows, I would believe, because of the fact that he can indeed go to these other countries, which is kind of weird in and of itself. So, what do you think about this Derek Lunsford? I interviewed him too recently, and he's getting a lot of hype. The next big thing in the 212 division. We've seen some wacky pictures of him released. He's been training it in Tampa at the MI40 gym, the Ben Pakulski runs over there. And I've seen some pretty impressive pictures. This guy made a lot of progress over the last 4 years. He was a welterweight. This is almost a Dexter Jackson story or better. And this guy just put on massive amounts of size every year for the last 5 or 6 years. And he turned pro last year. He won the Tampa show a week later. He was 5th at the Olympia a couple weeks after that. He took the whole year off. Well, not really. He didn't take the whole year. He took the year off, right? We haven't seen him.
Yeah, I think he took the year off. He's very impressive.
He's young. He's got fresh muscle. He's got good lines. His skin is great. And he seems like a real nice guy to me. I think he's going to be a threat at this one. I think that he's a guy that we got to watch out for. In this lineup for sure. He's got youth on his side too. Well, a lot of these guys in this lineup are not young.
Well, you could say the opposite. You could say like, people over 40 like Dixon, like Kamal, like Jose, they have more muscle maturity and
Samuel
density.
Haddad,
Samuel Haddad. I mean,
Craig
the line,
Richardson.
the lineup's insane. In terms of just level of competition. We just knocked off 5 people who are all over the age of 40, all look incredible,
That's right.
all have tremendous muscle maturity. I think there's something to be said for for muscle maturity. I think that shows, depending on the lighting, if it's a lit show, that muscle maturity goes a long way.
What about Dara from Canada? He's a wild card in this lineup, I have to believe.
I'm sure he'll look great. I just, I think like Samuel Haddad, who'll probably get overlooked anyway.
What about Ricardo Correa? I really like him. I think he's got great potential too. We haven't seen him pretty much all year either.
I think he's a tremendous bodybuilder. Comes in tremendous condition.
What about Kamal, who you help, El Gargan?
They like him. It's got good balance, good symmetry, nothing overwhelming. It's going to have tremendous condition. I just sent you a picture of him, by the way.
Okay. I haven't looked at it. I think that this top 5 at this show is going to be maybe the best 212 top 5 that we've gotten. I really believe it.
Without a doubt. I totally agree with that. There's too many different looking bodies. I mean, there's just too many different shaped bodies, and I don't mean negative shaped bodies. There's people with their own strengths and own weaknesses.
Kamal's very good. Very good.
So it's I think it's a matter of, how people show up that day, but I really don't expect big surprises outside the top 4. I think there's a
Flex is going to have to come in way off to lose. Let's face it. No one's going to beat him if he's 100% on. But look, we've seen Flex not at his best on that stage.
Well, I've seen him, in my opinion, lose 2 years, but not 2 different years, which means he must have been off by your definition.
Well,
I'll give you those
He
years.
has a lot of trouble making weight. When he's at 220, he looks amazing.
Well, it don't matter. I mean, regardless.
No, I'm saying that's why there was a vulnerability factor there. If he didn't have to make weight and lose 12 pounds when he doesn't have 12 pounds to lose, there's no one that's going to beat him. But because he has to do that, that creates his vulnerability right there.
Look, Cody Montgomery prepped for 9 weeks, in his defense, but he got second in Toronto, and he was like 15th a week later,
right.
in Dallas. Did he lose 15 pounds of muscle? No. Did he lose 15 pounds? Was his weight essentially the same? Absolutely yes. What was the difference? The stress on the body of having to make weight twice.
Mm-hmm.
So the first time was like almost a luck crapshoot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
In other words, he could have shown up in Toronto where everyone thought he looked incredible, and instead of getting second and being in the last call out with Zane, he could have been 6th because he just, the stress on the body of trying to make the weight and trying to get something back, in I think it was 24 hours. There's a lot of underlying weird factors that can go on with your body. It can work with you or it can work against you. And
I agree 100%.
So that is a factor that can come into play. And it doesn't have to be an extreme weight loss like Cody dropping an enormous amount of weight, but it 10 pounds can affect somebody extremely in a negative, whereas, you drop the same 10 pounds another year and it everything falls in place. Sure. You don't end up on flat.
Right. No, you're right. I'm looking at the Classic Physique Olympia lineup, and wow, there's a lot of guys in this lineup.
Was it like 200?
Not 200, but there are a lot of guys, more so than I anticipated. Obviously, Breon Ansley's got to be the favorite, I guess, going into this, only because he was, he's the champion. He also won the Arnold Classic this year. And that momentum really, obviously counts for something, whether people want to believe it or not. He's the guy to beat. He's been unbeatable since he won that Olympia. You know, even though I know you and I felt that maybe Bumstead last year should have beat him, and it was close. From what I've heard, I heard Bumstead is not at his best. He's been having some issues. I hope he will be at his best the day of the show. But you know, let's see what happens now. But there are a lot of guys in this lineup that we need to just take a look at. First of all, one of the guys who might be who getting the most attention in this lineup, and I don't know why it is. He just seems to be a very popular guy, and he's had a very interesting year. I mean, from going to Kuwait for a couple weeks and then coming back, and he left you, went back to you. Regan Grimes. I mean, can Regan be a factor in this Olympia, in this classic division?
Yeah, I think he's got classic written all over him.
Can he win this?
Yeah, he can win it.
Why would Regan beat Breon? Tell me the reasons.
For this, perfect. Yeah. You're softballing me. You're not even giving me that little knuckleball pitch from last week. The
FS pitch, the FS pitch.
Because you thought, and many thought, that Bumstead beat him last year. So the knock against Bumstead was his back, and Reagan's best body part is his back.
Interesting.
So I mean,
Chris Cormier said it was his biceps. It was Breon, which Breon does have some pretty amazing biceps.
I mean, Reagan's best body part probably, or best shot. I mean, a mandatory shot is the back double bicep.
Right.
And that's where Bumstead cannot put Breon away.
Mm-hmm.
So, with I think Reagan can beat him in that shot. I'm very confident that he can beat him in that shot. So that's just one shot.
Sure.
So height plays a role, I think, and I think Reagan has very classic lines, and he's a tall guy. Height definitely helps when you have balance, and that's what was impressive with Bumstead last year is he was the tallest in the class, and from the front he clearly has the best balance, standing relaxed, and he may have the best balance this year. I don't know, standing relaxed, but the issue really for him was the back double bicep.
Sure.
And so when you ask about Reagan, I say, okay, same height as Bumstead. He's got width like Bumstead. He's got good legs. Maybe not as good as Bumstead, but he's got, clean separation, good sweep. He's got a tremendous vacuum on the front double bicep. Breon doesn't have a vacuum. Vacuum is not the sole definition of classic, but it looks like something on stage, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Because Bumstead doesn't have the knock against Bumstead is he doesn't have big arms. He's got a great front double bicep because of the flow and the vacuum. So Reagan has, a vacuum front double bicep, big arms, and big V taper. So, I mean, there's a reason why he won New York, and there's a reason why he beat the guy who got second and third, who are very, very good competitors. The guy from Germany, Hoffman, and Divine Wilson.
Sure, who are both in this show too.
So
let me throw. You're talking about backs, right? You want to know someone who's got a better back than Breon. The Bull, George Peterson. I've been seeing some tremendous video and pictures from him. Come from my friend Justin, who works with him, and this guy doesn't. When you see him alone, he's flawless. He really is. He's so impressive. His back is just ridiculous. When you see him in the lineup, he's one of the shorter guys up there, and I think his height works against him. Can he be a factor? He was third last year. Here, he's got a lot of tools. He's got a lot of dangerous tools at his disposal. Let's make a case for him. Why can he win this show? Well, why can't he win the show? I would say the reason he can't win the show is he didn't beat Breon last year, but he has made improvements. So can he beat Breon?
I think that no, I don't think he can beat Breon because Breon still has flow and shape. There's nothing negative about George's. It's George, right?
Yeah.
The bull. No, there's nothing negative about his shape, but it's not as positive as Breon's shape and flow. I mean, Breon still looks like. I mean, he's one of these guys, right? You go backstage and you say, "God, he's going to get killed." and then you take 3 steps back and you say, well, he's actually pretty good. He's got all the right tie-ins, and you get 8 steps back and you say, he's definitely going to be in the top 5. And then he hits a front double bicep right at you, and you see that, very clean lines, great conditioning, deep separation, small waist, flowing lats, big arms, and you say, okay, I understand why he's, a contender to win, or if not the winner.
Let's talk about Arash Rabar, who was second at the Arnold this year behind Breon. He was 4th at the Olympia last year. Seems to have made improvements. Tell me why he can win or can't win.
The reason he probably can't is because of the contrast that he's standing in. He ends up being the odd person out. In other words, he doesn't have Breon's flow, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's got height, which could cancel out some of Breon's advantages. But then he's going up against Reagan in height, and Chris Bumstead in height, and Henry Pierre in height.
Sure. And they're taller than him.
So, that height is negated by them, and then Breon negates, flow is better than Arash's. Arash doesn't have bad flow at all, but that's how they'll see it, is that Breon's shape is better than, and flow is better than Arash's, and then his height is not going to work as well against those other guys, because for sure Henry has better flow and shape than Arash.
Will he beat Arash, you think?
Yes.
How do you think he'll do in this lineup? Can he win the show? You think he's got enough tools?
If they want to really judge hard, yeah, without a doubt, he could as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to see him in the lineup. But he's one of these physiques you got to really see him in person.
Mark my words. When you see him in the lineup, he's impressive. He's far more impressive than pictures from Tampa.
Right.
Don't forget, he won Tampa easily, and Kiona, who got second, who looks tremendous, at the Arnold. That's where I remember I saw Kiona, right? Wasn't Kiona in the Arnold?
Who are you talking about?
Kiona, the kid who got second in Tampa. He's young.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was the... Look it up. Was he in the Arnold? Because, he's got the structure in the Arnold to almost win the show. Mm-hmm. He's not as defined as Arash, not as polished as Arash, not as defined as Breon, not as polished as Breon. So, having said that, still has the muscle belly shape and flow, if he was in Arash's or Breon's condition, to probably beat them.
Mm-hmm.
But he looked, in my mind, like next to Henry, like lost.
Henry Pierre is very impressive. There's no doubt about that. I just don't know. I don't know how he's going to stack up against it. It's very hard to predict these things. You know what I mean? Until you see these guys standing next to each other, because I think Henry Pierre makes other guys look worse when they stand next to him. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I think Henry Pierre makes people look worse. You summed it up that way. I didn't. He surprisingly easily beat Kiona. And that's because of his height and to have that type of width and flow and not look skinny. He didn't look skinny on stage, mm-hmm. which is hard to do when he's trying to make 240. He has to weigh 240.
Right.
But he's tall. He's the tallest guy in the lineup. He's not the biggest guy in the lineup. He might not even have as much muscle as George DeBull.
Mm.
But, what he does have is, a better front double by far, a better side chest, and better back double on a taller bodybuilder. And if it sounds like, that's because you're helping him. Remember, this guy was third in the Tampa in the Open last year.
True.
I don't know if, granted, he had to quote downsize, but I don't know if, Reagan was fifth in that show. I don't think Arash would be third in the Tampa Open. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
What's interesting about what we're doing is we're micro dissecting these people, and we really don't know the answers to what we're saying. We're kind of speculating a lot, and that's that's really the defining point of this whole discussion. This Classic Olympia is going to be terrific because there's so many wild cards in this show.
It's complete utter speculation.
Until you see them next to each other,
speculation.
right? You can't compare these until you see them next to each other. And let's throw another guy into the mix who's got tremendous shape. Steve Lorius, who won Pittsburgh. Here's a guy who everyone was touting as the next coming of the greatest bodybuilder in the world, and he showed up in New York and he looked terrible. A week later, so.
Well,
but
did he do the 212?
He did the 212, yeah, but still, he didn't. He obviously didn't diet for the show or something like that. I think he went to the buffet all week, as Blackman would say. But he looked pretty damn good in Pittsburgh. How will this guy stack up in the lineup? Will he be a factor? He's working with Neil Hill now, his third coach in so many months.
Yeah, I didn't count, but go ahead. So
Well, you're the third. You're the first.
But I predicted that he would not last with Justin too. But go ahead.
Yeah, you did. Can he be a factor here, or do you think he just doesn't have enough? Oh, you do. Okay.
No, I mean he can be somewhat of. I think he can be somewhat of a factor. What's going to happen is, he'll just. It's the Olympia, and nerves will. It's a big deal. It's not a big deal for people who've been there over and over and over. For Phil, for Rolly, for blah blah blah. But it's going to be a big deal, and even having someone trying to Neil in your corner, trying to keep the lid on nerves and stress and just the expectations. I mean, right now people aren't talking about him, right, which is probably good for him. Yeah, it kind of takes the attention off him. What about? You're helping another guy. You have how many guys do you have in this lineup? What about 5 I have 3.
or 6?
I have 3.
You have Stanimal. You're helping Stan DeLongo.
Stan will beat Steve.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah, because he's the underdog. He don't care, and he'll be in. He doesn't have flaws. He doesn't have weaknesses. And that will automatically place him higher, way higher than people expect, because the lack of flaws, lack of weaknesses, and classic lines, a little bit bodybuilder looking because he's so dense, but because he actually still makes the weight, not too big. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, he will definitely be a surprise to a lot of people, including me and you.
I want to throw another guy out there because this is a guy that I like his physique a lot, and I know you do too. Terrence Ruffin, who made some tremendous improvements from last year, won
Off
Toronto.
The hook classic. Well, if you just go for classic body, you have to have him up somewhere.
Right? He's not the biggest guy there, but he's certainly very impressive.
They should let him do his in the posing routine.
Yeah, his posing routine is off the hook. Off the charts.
Off the charts. So, I've been impressed with him since he did the inaugural one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was good in that first year. The first year,
he's been overlooked, in my opinion, every single year.
Yep, and it's probably just because he's not the biggest guy up there.
He's not that big.
No, he's not that tall either.
No, but. He reminds me. I get him actually. He's as good as Keona, who was somewhere.
Yeah, Keona's really good
in Tampa, and I think he's been right up there at the Arnold's, and he's got a killer physique. They both have killer bodies. The difference is, Keona's not the biggest either. Place is very good where. Terrence Ruffin, at least when it comes to bigger shows or the big show or the Olympia, he tends to get overlooked. And I know he's not the biggest guy, but when he comes out by himself or even in the lineup,
he's great.
He's darn impressive.
Great. He's like a Lee Labrada, better I think, but a Lee Labrada nonetheless. Not the biggest guy up there, but just super impressive. When he displays himself. So, and there's I'm going to mention one more guy as another wild card, but obviously I don't think he's ready to be winning any Olympias yet, but he certainly has been surging. Wesley Vissers, who's I call him the Arnold lookalike, tall structure, great lines, small waist, very classic physique. I like I said, I don't know if he's got the muscle maturity yet to really, compete against some of these guys, but he's very impressive too.
I think that he's not going to have the muscle maturity to hang with these guys.
I think he's about 2 years away from where he needs to be before he's going to start really pushing these guys to the limit. But he's good. He's certainly good. And I think that once again, there's so much good talent in this lineup. I pray to the gods, to the physique gods, that these guys all come in shape, which I know is not going to happen. We're going to be critiquing them. We're going to be like, he's out of shape, out of shape, too flat, too for this. There'll be 6 guys if we're lucky who are in great shape. And only 3 of those guys will be vying for the title. So it'll probably be a lot easier to decide who's going to win, because the guys that should make it more difficult for us to decide just won't come in shape, or something will happen, or the food poisoning, all the various excuses we hear every single year. But look, the Olympia this year, there's an excitement, and the open class is probably the least exciting event there that we're going to be having. Although because Phil is going for number 8, I think that ups the ante a little bit on the excitement level, but. Let's face it, it's not number 9. If it was number 9, he was going to try to break the record. That's way more exciting than number 8. But I think the classic division is. I wish they had it up on the main stage. That's really what I wish. The 212 is going to be great because it's Flex Lewis's last year, and we do have a really good bunch of guys out there. So in terms of the men's competition, we really have a lot of excitement and a lot of guys a lot of speculation. You're helping half the freaking lineup of all.
Yeah, I sent you Henry front double. You tell me what you think.
Okay, I'll look at it. Hold on. You know who I love in the lineup too? Who's we're not really discussing because I don't think he really has a chance to win. But obviously our first men's classic physique Olympia champ, Danny Hester's still going. Danny won't give up. It's great.
He's actually, I think he coaches Stan on all the poses and stuff.
Oh, he's doing his dance posing? That's great.
Yeah, no, he does. He and you know what? I usually, he's doing a great job.
Dare I say that Henry Pierreneau has gotten better since Tampa?
Oh yeah, he's much better than Tampa.
It's amazing when you have great genetics and you're playing catch up because you started your prep late. You win Tampa at 80% your best, and then you get better for the Olympia. That's amazing.
Well, he threw his hat in the game for whatever Vancouver. I think it was like 9 days out. I said, "Yeah, you might as well do it." I mean, before I was telling him, no. I tell him I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up for this, Henry.
Look, it's gonna be interesting, and it's great that we'll be out there handicapping the whole thing live. So that'll be really, really fun. We haven't done one of those in a while. I haven't been at anything this year because of the birth of my daughter, and so this will be the first show I really go to the whole year. I was trying to go to Mel's. Mel had a show this past weekend in Naples, which is about an hour from us. And we were going to go there, and I screwed up. I got up too late, and I didn't realize there was only 100 people in the show, and it went too fast, and we would have never made it on time, so I never really
Are you trying to get somewhere with kids and pack the diapers and the formulas and the foods?
It's impossible to get out. You can't get out of the house that quickly. And you got to feed them. God forbid you got to feed your kids.
Before you get on the road, you got to feed them. But I said you got to pack the diapers.
No, we go to the bagel store on the weekend. I was supposed to get up early, and I was exhausted. I just slept late, and man didn't wake me up. And so of course it was my fault, but so we didn't get to go.
Well, of course it's your fault. You give up the power, dude, when you say I do.
And that was really it. So. It was an off week. There was no pro shows this past week. It was only there was a lot of amateur shows out there because guys they're qualifying for next weekend's big Pittsburgh show. It's the Pittsburgh Pro Masters and the North American Championships. I love that Gary holds the show. I was always very positive about this. I love the idea. Look, a lot of these Masters people want to compete. There's no business model there. No one really cares if they compete or not. But Gary said, you know what? I got an idea. Here's how I can make it viable. I'll charge these people an application entrance fee, which normally pros don't pay entrance fees. And I'll take the entrance fees and I'll use that as the kitty, so to speak, to give prize money to people who win. It's a great idea. You pay to play. There's nothing wrong with that. And it gives people a chance. Like they have a 60 and over, they got a 70 and over, a 50 and over category. So everyone gets a chance to compete against their own age categories in the pros as a pro, and you can win money. I help a girl by Susie, named Susie. You know Susie Blaylock, and she's won prize money. I said, Susie, you're better than. Most pros don't make any money. You've made money at 60 plus years old. She turned pro at 60 over 60.
They got a 1099er at the end of the year.
Yeah, I said you made prize money, and more than I made her do figure and women's physique. She won prize money in. So. That's great. I said it's like you scratched off one of those scratch-off lottery tickets and you hit a mini jackpot, just enough to cover your expenses, type of thing. So Gary's got that going on Wednesday. Some of it's Wednesday, some of it's on Saturday. And then, of course, the North American Championships, which is a pro qualifier. They're probably giving away 90 pro cards, I'm sure. Will be taking place the same weekend. And it's funny, Gary. People can say what they want about it, but Gary's smart. He has spread the show over 4 days, so it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This way, each day doesn't take too long.
Dave, do you remember 2 years ago or 3 years ago on this show? We used to. It was like a parody. Yeah. We used to make fun of just kidding, saying the North. Gary Udit's, the show's so big you're gonna have to make it 4 days, and you'd be like, who's gonna come in on a Wednesday? Right?
Well, we said eventually it's gonna. You and I both said it, and I'm sure we're right. It'll go to a week eventually, and it'll be the full week.
Yeah.
Well, because people have to get there on Monday anyway, to really.
They should open it up to still call it the North American, open it up to everyone anywhere.
Yeah. Why not?
Then it will be a week.
Throw a few more divisions in there, Do some pole dancing, do some model search, do some, I don't know, have a kids gymnastics tournament. I don't know, make it amusing. Yeah, they for a while. Remember they were trying to get kids involved. I thought it was a great idea. They were trying to go to local gymnastics like schools and get the gymnasts to come in and just do fitness, fitness. No physique round. It was just all routine. I thought it was a great idea, and they did it for a while. They may still even have it. I don't know. I haven't been there for a while, and there was some really good routines for some of these gymnast girls.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the gymnasts though don't like to do the routine. When you do a gymnastics floor routine, you're doing it on a very cushioned, bouncy floor. Yeah, it's not a wood stage that's slicked up with oil.
Yeah,
it's kind of dangerous. Actually, I think they have carpeting, right? Don't they have carpeting in Pittsburgh on that stage? I think it's carpeted. It's, I guess for a gymnast it would be a little dangerous. I always say to those girls, I'm like, when I watch routines, I'm always like, don't fall, please don't fall. I feel for them because some of those routines are pretty crazy, right?
Insane. They're insane routines.
Unless you go to shows, you would never know this, but when you go to shows, especially back in the 90s when they first started fitness, they had only women's bodybuilding and fitness. And there was a lot of girls doing fitness because anyone who didn't want to be a bodybuilder did fitness. There was no bikini and figure. And they would always have the guy, like one of the backstage guys, come out and like mop the floor off, or like sweep the floor, or do whatever to if there was oil on the floor, wipe it up. And everyone would applaud for the guy in this side stage.
Why would they? Yeah, they would.
Because it was slippery. These girls didn't want to fall and kill themselves. And every show, right? No. They would always be like applauding. It was like, it would take 100 hours to do all the routines. True story. The first year they had the fitness, it might have been the first or second year they had the fitness nationals. It used to be held in conjunction with the Team Universe. And I think they literally had like 80 routines, like 80 girls. And what they would do is they would just let them all go and do the routine, prejudging. That's how they would start prejudging. And I remember I was watching and I fell asleep. And I don't know if it was JM or Lonnie Teeper. Someone took a picture of me sleeping in the front row. It was brutal. It would take like 2.5 hours for all the routines to go. And these poor judges had to sit there and judge them. And then they would make them do them again at night. This is before we had 6,000 people in every show. But it would take, and the routines were like 2.5 minutes long, so it took a long time. And they would have a guy in between every routine and come out and sweep the floor, and everyone would be like, "Hey, let's hear from Matt, do a cartwheel." So that's those days are over. They're lucky if they have 10 fitness girls now. Although I will say, at the Olympia level, we have a vacated title this year. Oksana Grishina's not doing it anymore. She's retired. So we're going to have a new Miss Fitness Olympia crowned. Who that will be, I have no idea. But
who do you think?
Well, Whitney Jones is. I think she win the Arnold. She's got to be one of the favorites, I would think. But you never know. There could be someone who comes out of nowhere and they decide, you know what? That's the new routine. That's the new look. There's a girl from Russia who has got an amazing routine. I don't remember her name. I have to look it up. We'll handicap the Fitness Olympia coming up. I want to do a show. You got to call Jay for me. I want to get Jay on a Olympia analysis. Iron debate.
He's done it in the past with us, right?
Yeah, no, he has. I know, but he likes you. If you ask him, he'll probably do it.
We can do it from his house.
Oh, you mean when we go out there? Yeah.
No, from his office.
Yeah, when we go out there, right. Yeah. Except I don't get there till Thursday, so Thursday's too busy already. There's too much going on.
Did your father like not Liza Minnelli? Oh gosh, who's the famous singer? Barbra Streisand. We're talking about.
Yeah, he liked it. He didn't like her nose.
Oh, he didn't.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't like her nose. He thought she should have gotten a nose job. He likes character noses on men, not women. Women, he likes them to have good noses.
Oh, that's crazy.
He's like, I can't stand her nose. That's what he tells her. Oh,
I sent you pictures of people with famous noses, actors.
You did. The actor men are fine because he thinks that's character actors, but the women, he feels the leading lady should be attractive, and he doesn't like he didn't like her nose. She says she never got her nose fixed because she was afraid it would change her voice, which is, since that was her God-given gift, I can't really blame her for that, can you?
That's very, very, that makes a lot of sense.
Speaking of singers, I was watching, I'm kind of hooked on, I watch on YouTube all the time. What is it, Karaoke Cab it's called? Have you seen that show?
Oh, yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, of course.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's, I forget the comedian's name who drives the cab or drives the car. It's like he's in the car with like some kind of a famous singer, and they sing karaoke from the radio. Like it's usually who's ever on there. It's usually their songs they're singing, and he's really good. But there's one with probably the best one I've seen is with Madonna. She sings all her songs. She's great.
Yeah.
She's absolutely great. She's terrific. If you've never seen it, you can YouTube it. Madonna Karaoke Cab, or whatever it's called.
Oh, he had Bruno Mars on. Did you ever see the Bruno Mars
I didn't see the Bruno Mars one, no.
Oh, very good. Bruno Mars had a good time on that show.
Yeah. He did, Lady Gaga was terrific, too. Terrific. The people who can sing are the best ones on there. Britney Spears was on there. She was entertaining, but I don't think she can sing anymore. So she was lip syncing, I think, on her, because they play her songs being played, and they're supposed to be singing along with it. And I don't think she was singing too much, but...
Well, you can get the TV show that you have in your car, or you have a what? You don't even have a car anymore. What do you have, like a station wagon or?
No, we have the Honda minivan, but I do have my own. I have the X5 too.
Okay. You can't give up the X5. Yeah.
I switched. I don't have. This is the first year This is the first time in my life I never had a car. I've always had cars. Now I have only SUVs. That right there tells you that I'm married with kids, right?
Yeah, of course.
And I'm happy about it too. That's the funny thing. When you're happy about the SUVs you have, you really know that you've been domesticated.
Well, that's when it's your birthday and you wait till your kids start giving you socks and underwear on your birthday and go, oh, just exactly what it's what a great birthday gift. You'll laugh, but I get the same thing every year. I get socks,
cologne, right? That's what I used to always get my father. My father was a big cologne guy.
I get socks. And I usually get like different types of coffees. That's my kids know me.
Yeah, my father used to always wear cologne. I remember when we were growing up. I guess when he would teach in school, and he would always had. I always smelled him.
I have tons of colognes that I don't wear, but
I never wore cologne. I haven't really worn cologne. But Amanda's like, how come you don't wear cologne? I'm like, oh, I didn't know you liked it. She's like, you wore it when we first started dating. I'm like, well, because I was wooing you.
Yeah, it was in the wooing stage.
Yeah. So I started wearing cologne again. Now I'm really becoming my dad. Every time I do something new, I just keep like, oh my God, my dad. This is something my dad would do. No. I've been drinking like a little glass of. I'm like become Blackman. I have like a little glass of red wine with my dinner every night.
It helps you be creative.
No, it calms me the fuck down. I'm so stressed out.
Yeah, at the end of the day with the kids, helps you relax.
Oh my God, it does. I'm my fucking dad. I'm drinking wine. I said if I switch to white wine, then that's too scary, because my dad was a white wine drinker. He didn't really like red wine. Blackman got me on the red wine. So polyphenolics.
Antioxidants.
Vino Viagra.
Yeah.
Vasodilation.
Did we cover Aretha Franklin died? Was that this week?
Yeah. Was it? No, not Aretha Franklin. Someone else died. Who else died?
No, Franklin died.
She did? How old was she?
She was 75, only 75. She had her first record deal when she was 14. So she sang. She made records for 60 years. Records, whatever. She made music.
Someone else died too. Who just died? We were just talking about it.
John
McCain died, right? John McCain died, right? 81. Yeah. He was working till the day he died. This guy.
Yeah, he was.
That was a guy who didn't. He wouldn't step down for nothing.
No.
Right.
I told you I wrote him last year. Remember, I told you I wrote him when I wrote him a letter.
It fell on deaf ears.
Yeah. How's that?
Yeah, one day here, one day you're gone. I had to pick up my dad's ashes the other day, and it kind of hit me. I'm like, holy shit, my dad's not here anymore. He's really gone, And now I'm doing all the paperwork. It's funny. Social Security. I guess they must have made a payment like the day after my dad. They do a direct deposit into his account the day after. Yeah. Somehow they already know that he died. I guess maybe because of the death certificate or whatever. They already took the money out of his account. Not that I care.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny how on the ball they are about this type of stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Right.
Yeah. I know. How would they know? How would they know? They get the hospital call, the hospice call in and say,
I'm so happy that they know because I thought I was going to have to call them. And I don't know if you ever try to get in touch with Social Security. It's impossible.
I just hit 0 on everyone 1,000 times. I call Home Depot and Lowe's.
You couldn't get someone on the phone from Social Security if you freaking tried. Believe me.
I'm sure.
Believe me. And then his pension. My dad was getting a pension obviously from the New York City schools. They know too. They sent me a letter already. They're like, submit the death certificate if you want to get the death benefits. I'm like, what death benefit? My dad doesn't have any death benefits, probably. They just want the death certificate on file, probably.
Yeah,
they just tell you that. They tease you that. I'm going to get money. I'm going to get money back.
They
may probably get like $15 like in escrow somewhere. They're going to send me a check for it. It's like I did a commercial like 15 years ago, and I'm getting like royalty checks from it. It's like $1.50, 75 cents. It's like I don't even want to deposit them, and it's like
too much work.
Too much work because then I got to have my accountant, I got to pay taxes on 75 cents.
Do they 1099 you at the end of the year or whatever it is?
Yeah, you're damn right. That 1099, I get a W-2 from them, I think.
Yeah, what's it for?
Something. Not W-2. I probably get a 1099. You're right. Yeah, I owe like 14 cents or something like that at the end of the year. because of the stupid royalty checks I've been getting from doing MTV2 video.
What, like the Hulk or something? Must be a Hulk.
No, it was actually a video where I was actually. It was a kid's show, believe it or not.
I bet I know. I bet I know where you got that job from too.
Who?
The guy, the crazy guy with the white hair. He used to run around the bodybuilding.
Mike Lyons. I didn't even get it from him. I believe that they actually called me. I was doing so much stuff, commercial stuff for a while. They would actually had my number on file as the bodybuilder guy in New York, so they would call me. And I went down there, and the show is about. I forget the name of the show. Kids would know the show. I probably know it. I should know it now because probably my kids watch it. But this little girl was hanging on my arm. I was hitting a double bicep pose, and she was hanging from my arm. And they showed it 4 million times. So after so many times they show it, you got to keep paying me, and evidently they're still showing it to this day.
Crazy.
Believe it or not. Yeah.
Maybe they're showing it in foreign countries or something.
I still get these crazy royalty checks.
Brad, you must get a check, dude. I'm sure you listen to the show because you're a cardio addict. You don't like to get over 2% body fat.
Yeah, I wish I would have done more.
How many commercials has Brad had?
Yeah, he did some big time. He probably made really good money. I did one big commercial for XM satellite radio with Howard Stern's wife, who wasn't his wife at the time. And her and I were in this commerciul together.
Look at it. We were talking before the show started about 1 degree separation between you, Pecker, and Trump, right? with Roger Stone, and here you are, 1 degree separation with
Howard Stern, one of my idols, in the entertainment industry. Yeah, Chris and I were saying how it's kind of weird that we're almost too connected to the president. We know too many people who know, like Louis Ferrigno's good friends with Trump, and we had Roger Stone on the radio show who kind of was running Trump's election campaign. That's just too close. Like we're too close to the president. It's kind of weird, almost in a way.
You had to get called Trump to. Did you really reach out to Roger Stone to get to Trump, to get to David Pecker, to get you the press passes this year? Or
no. I reached out to Roger Stone to see if he can get Hadi Chupin into the United States, get him a visa.
Oh, yeah.
And I was told it probably would not happen because we're not in the best of terms of that. Iran is like one of these countries that they're not making any exceptions for. Probably if he went, it was in Pakistan or something like that, we probably could have facilitated it, but not Iran. Iran's not on our they're not on the number one list. They're not on our most favorite list. At this point.
You had the one commercial with Howard Stern's.
Yeah, that was my big one. I did other ones, but that I made about almost 35, maybe 40 grand from that commercial on residual.
Really?
Yeah, because they ran it for a long time too, and it was a union commercial.
Wouldn't it be great to have 10 or 20 of those going?
No, I'm saying you can make a good living from it. There's guys that just do commercials. They're character actors.
I'm tired of seeing on commercials every time I turn on the TV, which is rare. Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot of commercials. I noticed that too.
Which is everything.
But think about that one commercial. You've seen it from Progressive Insurance. You know that woman? She's got the dark hair. She's been in this commercial, doing these commercials, and they're different ones, for at least 10 years. She's the Progressive woman.
Yeah.
It's Progressive Insurance, car insurance and all that other stuff. She's in every commercial there. I mean, they have multiple commercials, and they're always changing it up and doing different versions of it. She's probably making $500,000 a year. I guarantee it, with residuals and everything. No doubt in my mind. Plus, the great thing about SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, is if you work regularly for them, you get benefits. They'll give you health insurance and all that stuff because it's part of the union. You have to work a certain amount of hours per year. The good thing about that is that SAG health benefits cover plastic surgery. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because
you could have had your nose done.
I could have had my nose done, right? I got a nose job. I got it covered. Or maybe even I could have got gyno surgery and got it covered. Not that I already had it, but I'm just saying if I hadn't, I could have got that. You can get your teeth fixed. I know a lot of guys, these characters, like comedians who work. They'll work even as extras every single day in New York City.
Oh, just so they can get a little work, so
they can get the benefits. The benefits are freaking worth it.
Yeah.
Plus, you know what you make as an extra? You could make $300-400 a day. All you do is sit around and eat at craft services all day. You don't do anything. It's just you got to go in. It's a long day. You know what I mean? But for guys that don't want to really work a real job, I mean, it'd be great for bodybuilders.
You'd want to be an actor? When you get those little jobs?
It's addicting. I'll tell you something. When you go and you do this stuff, it's an absolute high.
Because that doesn't feel like work, right? It's not like getting under a squat rack and doing 600 reps.
It's a long day.
Pounds.
It's a long day.
It's a long day.
When I used to go in and do the Conan O'Brien show, and they would dress me up as the Hulk. And
you must have liked all the perks, though. They'd bring you the water,
loved it.
Ask you if everything okay,
I was like,
how you doing, you shoot the breeze,
all the stars would come in, and they'd be in the green room bullshitting with me, asking me working out. I felt like I was, Robin Leach. Not Robin Leach. What's the guy's name? James Lipton. James Lipton. I told you the James Lipton story, right?
No.
Yes, you did. You don't remember, but I can tell it anyway. James Lipton who runs the Actors Studio. If any of you guys have seen, he has this show on like PBS where he interviews like stars, like, and he's interviewed a lot of stars, and he asks them about where they came from, their acting, and he asks them these very delving questions, and he sounds very self-important about when he asks these questions. Like he's a teacher. He teaches at the actor, or he used to at least teach at the Actors Studio. So my dad and I would watch this because my dad like.
Father probably hated him, but like.
Yeah, my dad and I hated him because he was such a pompous ass. Yeah. What an ass! But we watched him because it was interesting. But he would, the way he would self-aggrandize himself by asking these questions, like he was so important, to ask this question. Let me ask you this: when you get into the method, and you're in the midst of it, what are you feeling?
Well, you sound a little Kai Greenish. But
but that's James Lipton sounds like. So. Yeah. My dad would always have this inside joke about James Lipton. We were always like, we would laugh our asses off. It was like something like we shared together. We would watch it when I was younger, especially. And so one day I go in, the Conan O'Brien show had me on about 12 times as the Incredible Hulk. They would paint me green, and most of the time there would be these comedy skits I would do as the Hulk. I sang once, like on Broadway. I crashed through a wall once. I threw a couch at the Conan. So there was always some kind of like shtick they had going on. So I go in this one time, and seriously, I go into the green room, and who's in the green room? Fucking James Lipton. I'm like, James Lipton? What the fuck's James Lipton doing in the green room? There? The green room is where they make you wait before you go on. And they had painted me green already. I go in there green, and James Lipton's sitting in there. He's like, hello, youngster, or something like that. Some young man. He goes, is that that's some costume you have on there? I said, it's not a costume. He's like, what do you mean? I said, it's not a costume. This is my body. I said, it's just painted green. So he goes over and he like grabs my like arm, just with his fingertips because he doesn't want to get the green, because like green makeup all over me, right? He's like, oh, very interesting. So I'm like, fuck, I gotta call my dad. James Lipton's in my fucking skit with me.
You didn't have a cell phone back then, did you? Or yeah.
No, we did, but they no, you didn't have any service there. So but they had phones. They had house phones that they let you use. You can do whatever you want there. I'm like, I gotta call my dad. I'm like, Dad, this is my dad was still before he lost his mind. I called my dad. He's like, where are you calling from? 2121 number. What are you doing? I'm in the city, Dad. I'm working on. I'm gonna be on the Conan O'Brien show tonight. He goes, oh, you are? Oh, I gotta watch. I gotta program my VCR. Even though no one was using VCRs, he was still using VCRs. Yeah, everyone else had DVD players. My father was using VCR. He's like, I said, you're not gonna believe this. He's like, what? I said, you know who I'm co-starring on this little skit with? He goes, who? I said, James Lipton. He goes, James Lipton, the guy we make fun of all the time. I said, yeah, James Lipton and I are going to be in a skit together.
Yeah.
He's like, what are you guys doing? What can he possibly? I don't know. I said, it's some kind of like a it's like a quiz show.
It's sticky.
It's sticky. Yeah, it's sticky. And and James Lipton's playing himself. I said, I'm playing the Incredible Hulk. He's like,
playing Lou. You're playing Lou Ferrigno, your idol. Think how crazy that is.
Yeah. The guy I idolized when I watched Pumping Iron growing up, I wanted Lou to win the Olympia. I didn't know that Arnold had won already. But so I'm like, Dad, it doesn't get better than this. It was the greatest. It was so great. It was so funny too because he's actually a decently funny guy. That's why Conan gets him on the show all the time. He does have a good sense of humor. He just takes his job so seriously. And I don't know, maybe he's just overacting when he does the thing. But he was pretty cool. He seemed pretty cool to me. He was nice, and everything like that. And I got to go back and find and see if I even have that on video someplace. It was great though.
You do put it on the site. Put it on YouTube so we can see it.
Yeah. I got to look for it. Probably NBC will probably have it taken down though, because they have like these filters. They can tell if you're using any of their footage. But I like, seriously, I did like 10 Hulk skits, and the one with James Lipton was the best.
And at no point did you think like, geez, I wonder if they bring back the Hulk series, maybe I'd be like #1 candidate to play it.
You know what? At that point, probably if they would have decided to do a Hulk movie, because they didn't have the CGI technology then, I might have had a good shot at it. Who knows? I might have had a good shot at it, but I missed my opportunity of a lifetime. But I would have had to move to California probably. Well, actually, no, if they had a movie, I could have gone there and filmed it for a few weeks. But
well, what's wrong with moving to California?
I don't think I was tall enough, though. But you know what? Who knows? Because Louis was 6'5", right?
I mean, Sylvester Stallone's like 5'3".
Yeah, they could put me on a box. They could have put me on like a little...
Yeah.
Kept on the Hulk on a box. Oh, my God. Chris, the insanity. All right. I can't even believe we've gone this late. You have to fly back to Maine tomorrow, don't you?
Yeah, I have to get out of a 900-degree, 900% humidity.
All right, guys. That's it. Next week we'll be talking about North American and the Masters Pro World Championships that they're having there, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And guys, the Olympia is coming soon. If you guys have suggestions and you want to see any special interviews done or any kind of shows or you have any good topics for the Iron Debate prior to the Olympia, feel free to hit me up and send me some ideas. I got to tell you, I got to give credit. A lot of the ideas I get are from people who listen to the show. So,
of course, that's the best. That's the best place to get them from. It's like at a restaurant. Say, what would you like to see on the menu? People tell you.
You know what? You want to know? Hear the funny thing? You want to know what the number one video that we've done on RxMuscle recently has been? You never guess in a million years.
No idea.
I did it on the spur of the moment. I always try to come up with a rant video every week. Yep. I did one on apple cider vinegar. Okay, doesn't sound like just all the health benefits of it and how it works, and things got like up to over 150,000 views. This thing. There's no rhyme, no reason what people like. That's my.
No, there is no rhyme or reason. There's absolutely none.
The things that go viral are so weird that you can never predict. I can spend 2 hours preparing for an interview with someone. I can interview them for an hour, and I can get less hits than something I come up with in 30 seconds. 30 seconds while I'm sitting on the toilet. I'm going to do a video on apple cider vinegar today. Yeah. Do it, and it gets a million hits. So you can't predict, but I'll tell you one thing. We're out of time. Until next week, remember, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.
Good night, everyone.